Hello students, this is Dr. S.R. Dandavate. I welcome you to the first video on semiconductor physics. Semiconductor physics is the first chapter from your second unit. In this video, we are going to discuss about classification of solids based on band theory. At the end of this lesson, learners will be able to understand classification of solids using concept of band theory of solids. So before directly discussing the classification of solids based on band theory, let us shortly discuss what is this band theory of solids, and for that purpose we have to consider an atomic system. Suppose this is an atom. So if this isolated atom is thought, then here we have its at the center nucleus, positively charged nucleus, and around these negatively charged electrons revolve. How many electrons are present, that depends upon the electronic configuration of that material. This is just one sample example considered. Now, as far as energy of this electron is concerned, its energy level diagram will look like this. This y-axis is its energy axis, and here we have energy level diagram of that electron. Suppose energy of this electron is E. Now, if we consider another similar atom, then it will have same energy. E will be its energy. Now, during solid formation, what happens? Atoms interact. Due to decrease in the interatomic distance, atoms start interacting with each other. So during the interaction, the energies of these electrons are redistributed. Slight modification in the energy take place. So in the present example, if these two atoms are interacting, and in that case, if we try to draw its energy level diagram, it may look like this. Whenever these two atoms were isolated, then both the electrons were having same energy, E. But now, if these two are interacting with each other, that means if we consider this as a same system, then one electron may have slightly less energy than previous, other electron may have slightly greater energy. This means that due to interaction, there is slight change in the energies of electrons. So this happens with two atoms. But during solid formation, many atoms interact with each other. There are about 10 raised to 26 atoms per cubic centimeter in a solid. So for these many atoms, we have the corresponding electrons interacting or their energy levels overlapping with each other, and that structure will look like this. See, there are several energy states present in this particular energy limit. So this particular bunch of energy levels is created with certain lower as well as upper limit of energy, and this series of energy levels or this bunch or group of energy levels is termed as a band. Now, as in this present example, we have assumed single orbit, single band is formed, but overall, how many bands are formed, that depends upon how many shells or how many orbits are present, and of course it depends upon the electronic configuration of that material. Now, just as an example, if we consider certain material, so how can we represent its energy bands? See, the innermost band that is formed due to k shell electrons will be 1s band. So if we have next electrons available, then this 1s band will be filled, followed by 2s band, 2p band, 3s band, 3p band. Now, if 3p band is available, it clearly means that all the bands below it are completely filled. These are completely occupied by electrons. So this is labeled as lower filled bands. Now, in that case, depending upon the electronic configuration, means availability of electrons, this 3p band, if I show the next structure, then it will be clear. See, we have one more band above 3p band. Now, in case if this 3p band is completely filled, then this next permitted energy band may be either partially filled or completely empty. Now, if this 3p band is partially filled, then surely the next permitted energy band will be completely empty. So this way, we can define this 3p band as completely or partially filled band, which is called as valence band. This is the concept of valence band. Broadly, it is defined as a band formed due to series of energy levels consisting valence electrons. Similarly, This next permitted band is called as conduction band, which may be completely empty or partially empty. So this way we can define, or we can have the structure of valence band and conduction band. See, this conduction band, in other words, also called as lowest unfilled energy band, and valence band is called as highest filled energy band. What does it mean? Below this valence band, whichever band, see, look in this diagram. Below this valence band, means 3p band in our case is valence band. So below valence band, all the bands are always completely filled, and from that point of view we can say that valence band, in other words, called as highest filled energy band. That means no any band above valence band will be completely filled. Alright, in similar manner we can define this conduction band as lowest unfilled energy band. What does it mean? Whichever the number of bands available above conduction band are always completely empty. They are completely unfilled. That means it is only conduction band which is the lowest unfilled band. In other words, no any energy band below this conduction band will be completely empty. That's why this valence band is defined as it is completely filled or partially filled, not completely empty. So this is the concept of valence band and conduction band. Now there is some energy gap between valence band and conduction band, and this energy gap is called as EG, that is forbidden energy gap. So the word forbidden means electrons are not permitted, electrons are not allowed in that gap. Electrons will stay either in valence band, or if sufficient energy is added to electrons, electrons will be transferred to conduction band. So this energy gap is free from electrons, and that's why that energy gap is called as forbidden energy gap. So in the present discussion, the role of this forbidden energy gap is very important. Its value is used, means its value decides the type of material, either conductor, semiconductor or insulator. For example, see, it is insulator in which the forbidden energy gap is comparatively large. How large? It varies from 5 electron volt to 15 electron volt. So because of this large energy gap, electrons cannot move from valence band to conduction band, though energy is supplied. So thus this conduction band remain completely empty, as no electrons are available free to conduct. Hence material offers the property of bad conductor, that is called as insulator. The second type of material is semiconductor. In case of semiconductors, the value of forbidden energy gap is comparatively less than that in insulators. See here, it has less energy gap between valence and conduction band. There are commonly used two semiconductors as germanium and silicon. In case of silicon, the value of forbidden energy gap is 0.7 electron volts, and it is 1.1 electron volts for silicon. The last category is conductor. In case of conductors, the value of forbidden energy gap is 0. That means there is no forbidden energy gap, because this valence band and conduction band, these two are overlapped, and due to overlapping, electrons are common for valence and conduction band, and hence these electrons are free for conduction even at normal temperatures, and therefore material offers the property of good conductor. So commonly used conductors are metals. So this is how these solids are classified into three categories using band theory. Now let us see semiconductors with more details. It is called semiconductor because its electrical conductivity properties lies between insulators and conductors. Insulators are bad conductors of electricity, while conductors are good conductors. Now semiconductors have comparatively low conductivity than metals, or they are good conductors if it is compared with insulators. So in general, when we talk about semiconductors, they are tetravalent. Means in case of semiconductors, there are 4 valence electrons. In outermost shell of the material, there are 4 electrons which are called as valence electrons. In pure semiconductor, all these 4 valence electrons are engaged in covalent bond formation. There are no free electrons available for conduction, and hence at absolute zero, that is at 0 Kelvin temperature, all electrons are engaged and the material gives the property of insulator. Broadly, semiconductors are divided into two categories as as intrinsic semiconductor and extrinsic semiconductor. Intrinsic semiconductors are pure semiconductors. That means there is no impurity or no doping. They are extremely pure in nature. And in these semiconductors, conductivity can be increased just by increasing its temperature. So if temperature increases, some of the covalent bonds are broken and few electrons are made free. So these electrons gain thermal energy and hence these electrons are excited. That means such electrons will move from valence band to conduction band. Now in case if we consider one example, that is if one electron gets its transition from valence band to conduction band, suppose. So this movement will leave one vacancy in the valence band. There is shortage of one electron in valence band, and this shortage of electron looks like as hole. It is considered as a hole and its charge will be comparatively positive than that of electron. So thus it is treated that holes are positively charged. Thus if one electron is shifted from valence band to conduction band, it creates one hole. Like this, whatever number of electrons move towards conduction band, equal number of holes will be created in valence band. That is why we say that this Ne is equal to NH. In general, see, look at the bottom. N in general called as number of charge carriers. What are charge carriers? Charge carriers are either electrons or holes. So these are number of charge carriers per unit volume, or it is also called as carrier concentration or density of charge carriers. So if it is Ne, so Ne indicate number of electrons per unit volume or concentration of electrons or density of electrons. Alright, now when we talk about intrinsic semiconductor, we have Ne is equal to NH, that is concentration of electrons is same to that of holes. So in general it is also denoted by Ni. Now let us turn towards the second type of semiconductors, which is extrinsic semiconductor. So these semiconductors are also called as doped semiconductors. So doping is a process of adding impurity, adding specific impurity. Specific means it is either trivalent impurity or pentavalent impurity. So depending upon which type of impurity is added, these extrinsic semiconductors are divided into two types, that is P-type and N type of semiconductor. Now in case of P-type semiconductor, there is addition of trivalent impurity, which is also called as acceptor impurity. Acceptor means it has a tendency to accept electrons. So how is it possible? Let us see. As it is trivalent impurity, it has 3 valence electrons. There are 4 valence electrons in pure semiconductor. Now if some new material, say boron, is added as trivalent impurity, so boron has only 3 valence electrons. So using these 3 valence electrons, 3 covalent bonds will be completed, and for 4th bond there is shortage of 1 electron. So this shortage of electron appears as a hole. That means addition of 1 atom of boron will create 1 hole in the material. If 10 such boron atoms are added, it will create 10 holes. So this way, these extra charge carriers are holes, and these holes appear as its carrier concentration, called as majority charge carriers. And thus in case of this material, now try to understand why it is called as P-type. So as we know that holes are the majority charge carriers in this material, holes have positive charge, and on account of the positive charge, the material is called as P-type, P for positive. Okay, so remember this condition. NH is greater than Ne, that is concentration of holes is greater than concentration of electrons. In this case, electrons are considered as minority charge carriers. Commonly used doping elements are boron, aluminum, indium, etc., as these are trivalent elements. Now in a similar manner, we get N type of semiconductor. Only the thing is, this material is formed due to doping of pentavalent impurity, which is alternatively also called as donor impurity. Electrons are easily donated by this. Now as it is pentavalent, means it has 5 valence electrons. Out of 5, 4 electrons are used in covalent bond formation, and 1 electron remain as excess electron. Thus these excess electrons act as majority charge carriers, and this way we get Ne greater than NH, that is concentration of electrons is greater than the concentration of holes. Some of the commonly used elements as impurity or doping elements for N-type material are like this: phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, etc. So this was about the classification of solids and types of semiconductors. Thank you.